Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Achakudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. All right, and this lesson, I wanted to deal with as I put the first day of eternity, okay, which I was meditating on this, dealing with where we are right now in prophecy and what's left to come, which when you look at how the Lord has designed everything from the creation up until this point, you know, the Lord never really put a time when there would be nothing in existence. Okay, meaning that time goes on and on and on and on and on, and just it's like a continuous thing that just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. All right, and it's never going to stop. And as the Lord has set up these prophecies to take place, so long as time is still running, people are still going to be here. Empires and civilizations are still going to be here. And for the most part, you've had, pursuant to the dream that the Lord gave Nebuchadnezzar, all right, and Daniel, you've had the bulk of these nations, these empires that were set to rule, you've had them have their rule already. Okay, and so from the time of creation up until the time when the Lord allowed, you know, you had Nimrod and, you know, Babel and all of that, all the way up until now, that portion of time in which these different nations have got to rule, that's it for them. Okay, so if you look at it, it may seem like it was a long time, but that's why the scriptures refer to it as a short season or a short space. Because in comparison to the rest of eternity, the time that these nations got to rule is really a short time. Okay, from the time of let's say you even start with the Egyptians, to the Assyrians, to the Medes, to the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, Esau today, that's all going to be considered a short time in comparison to how we're going to rule, because when we start ruling, it's going to be for the rest of eternity. So a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years into the kingdom, we're just going to keep on going. We hit 100 years, 500 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, 1,000,000 years. Our kingdom is going to be the longest reigning kingdom. And that's why I titled it the first day of eternity, because that's exactly what it's going to be. When we get to the kingdom, meaning when Yahushua comes back and destroys this place, and we see how he, you know, the order is to set up the world and change everything to the way it's supposed to be, the righteous laws, we're going to see what the rest of eternity is going to look like. Now, of course, being that we're going to have new bodies and we're going to be gods and we're going to have new minds, the kingdom is not going to stay as it is on day one. We're going to constantly improve it. And the kingdom is not just one city in the east, you know, in Jerusalem, and that's it. No, the kingdom, it's really the rule, the age, because in the kingdom of heaven, other planets are going to be populated by us. You know, so the kingdom isn't just Earth. This is the time from when this kingdom goes down to when the kingdom of Israel, starting with Yahushai, all right, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, gets set up. That's when the kingdom begins. And it's not going to be on any particular location or any particular planet. Now, you will have the headquarters, but when you refer to the kingdom of heaven, that's going to be the age in which starts when this kingdom goes down up until the rest of eternity. All right, so since I said that, I want to start off here with the book of Revelation, chapter 6 and verse 12, going into the very ending of this kingdom to the very beginning of our kingdom, because the transition is going to be that quick, because we're going to take this kingdom. All right, now where we are right now, we still have just a little bit more to go before we hit this point that I'm about to read. But as we can see, we're very close. So this is the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 12. It says, "And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood." Now, why was there a great earthquake? Because of the destruction that's going to be happening. The scriptures say that the earth is going to reel to and fro like a drunkard, because the force of the missiles hitting the planet, because they're going to hit different parts of the planet, is going to cause that shaking. And as it says, the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, because these are all going to be signs that are going to be taking place during this time. Verse 13, "And the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely fig." Now, these weren't literal stars, but these represent the missiles. Okay? And it says here, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. So imagine you have a fig tree that's being shaken, you know, very, very roughly by wind, and the figs are falling off the tree. They're not going to be just dropping down. They're going to be falling with momentum in whatever direction the wind is swaying the tree. So if the tree gets swayed this way, you're going to see the figs fly off it in this direction. Okay, so as John is, what he's doing is he's likening what he's seeing in his vision, which is the way the missiles are flying, onto a fig tree that is moved of a mighty wind. Okay, it says here, verse 14, "And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together." Now, a scroll, when it is rolled together, today we know it as a mushroom cloud. Okay, and how do you get mushroom clouds? From bombs, missiles, atomic weapons, is the collision. Okay, and the smoke. It says, "And every mountain and island were moved out of their places," which is going to be literal, okay, because of literally the force that's going to be taking place. But also, when you go into the scriptures, you have the word mountain that can also represent governments. So though this is going to be happening in a literal sense, you will also have these governments that are going to be broken down. Verse 15, "And the kings of the earth, which are the leaders of these other nations, the presidents, prime ministers, kings, so on and so forth, and the great men and the rich men." All right, and who are the rich men today? Esau, Edom. Okay, pursuant to James, the 5th chapter. Esau, Edom, they call them the international bankers. Now, the international bankers are not just the Rothschilds. You have a variety of different names. Okay, the Mindlers, the Warburgs. Okay, all these different people all put together. The Schiffs. So it's not just the Rothschilds, but the Rothschilds hold a prominent position in it. All right, the Morgans. So it says, "And the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains." Now, what are these dens and rocks of the mountains? These are nuclear safe houses, right? Underground bunkers, certain caves. I believe they have Mount Weather. Okay, they have like these different areas where they know that in threat of a nuclear weapon or a nuclear attack, they would need somewhere that they can go into. So that's what John refers to as the dens and the rocks of the mountains, places that they can hide when this destruction comes. And that's exactly what they did. So when we say that these elites are either hiding in their bunkers now or gonna be hiding in there, we're not making it up. It's because literally, according to prophecy, when this thing takes place, they're gonna be in those areas where they have food that can last them decades. Okay, thinking that they're going to be safe, but they're really not. Verse 16, "And he said," oh, Slakia, "and said to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne." Now, they didn't literally say that because they're not going to be talking to these rocks, but the haste in which they're running into these bunkers, he's metaphorically talking, saying that it's likened onto them saying, "Oh, hide us." Okay? It says, "And who is the one that sitteth upon the throne?" Yahweh Shai. That's why he's referred to as the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. It says, "And from the wrath of the Lamb." Now, who is the Lamb? Yahweh Shai. And you can read about that in Revelation, the 5th chapter. Now, it mentions the wrath of the Lamb. And that's why when you go to, let's go there real quick, the book of, because that's the energy and that's the spirit Yahweh Shai is coming with. He's coming with anger, wrath, okay, fierce anger. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 63, verse 1. It says, and the title of the section is The Day of Vengeance. See? It says, who comes to take vengeance with a smile on their face? You may be happy that you're gonna get vengeance, but when you get into the spirit of vengeance, it's not a spirit of mirth, it's a spirit of anger, you know, of seriousness. So Isaiah 63:1, who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? All right. This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. It says, now when you read Isaiah 63, you wonder why there's question marks and then there's responses, but it doesn't quite mention the pronouns. But when you actually read in Isaiah 63, Isaiah's having a conversation. He's asking, who is this? What's going on here? And he's being answered by the Lord. Okay? That's why it says here, I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. See, so Isaiah is not the one who speaks in righteousness, mighty to save. Who is that? Yahweh Shai. Okay, so that's why it's speaking with that perspective. So it says, verse 2, wherefore? So Isaiah asks, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel? Why are why are your clothes red? Why do they look like that? It says, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat, because the wine fat in the ancient world, it was like a small little pit where you would throw all the grapes, and you would actually have people that you have to jump in there and step on the grapes and smash it so that the liquid comes out. But as you do that, the blood of the grapes gets on your clothes because you're not going to jump in there naked. And so that's why he's saying, you look like somebody that's treaded in the wine fat because of all the redness that's on your garment, which is metaphorical because Yahweh Shai is not actually going to be physically doing that, but it represents how much blood and how much death is going to come by the hand of the Lord. So people think that the Lord is just coming to sit back and just watch everything. No, he's also gonna be having lasers shoot out from his chariot and giving commands to slay people. That's why the scriptures say the slain of the Lord shall be many. And this is gonna be the war that ushers in the kingdom of heaven, the ultimate war, the war of Armageddon. And it's gonna be led by Yahweh Shai, who is the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. The first Israelite, so to speak, because he was the firstborn amongst many brethren. So it says, verse 3, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. Because going back to the ancient world, when you trod in the winepress, it wasn't a one-man job because it was a lot of grapes. So it would actually be a lot of people, and it would be a thing of rejoicing. But as he says here, he did it alone, and there was none with me. For it says, for I will tread them in my anger. So he's likening the mainly Esau, but really the inhabitants of the earth, likening them onto the grapes. It says, and trample them in my what? In my fury. That's why it said, hide us from the wrath of the Lamb. Because when he comes, as the scriptures say, I shall not meet thee as a man, and that what? He's gonna travail like a woman. Which doesn't mean he's gonna scream like a girl, but it means he's gonna give out a war cry. Because if you hear a woman in labor, she's not screaming like a girl. There's certain screams you hear out. You like, you got to start thinking about how you start talking to this woman after that, because she could let out a cry like that. You don't want to, you don't want to really piss her off. But anyway, it says, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I would tread them in mine anger and trample them in my fury. And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. Likening the destruction onto somebody that's stomping in the winepress or the wine fat. Verse 4, for the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of the, it says, and the year of my redeemed is come. So when the Lord comes, he's coming to do two things. He's coming to unleash vengeance upon Esau and the rest of the world, and he's coming to redeem his brethren, his elect. Okay, he's coming to buy them back, because going back to the curse, Deuteronomy 28 and 68, it says that we were going to be sold unto our enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, meaning no man shall redeem you. That wasn't forever. It just means no man shall redeem you until that time when Yahushua, which is our brother, is sent to come and redeem us. Okay? Now it says here, verse 5, and I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore mine own arm brought salvation unto me, and what? My fury, it upheld me. Okay, so that's why, going back to Revelation, the 6th chapter, and the verse, the 16th verse, it says, and set onto the mountains and rocks fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Now you know why. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? And the answer is nobody, if you're not of the elect. Because what's going to happen to these elites when the Lord comes back? They're going to go into slavery. The same day the Lord returns is the same day that they go from 100 to 0, and they get put in captivity. And they're going to be afraid, but the Lord is going to give us spiritual power, because when we get those new bodies, it's going to be like a pre-programmed thing. And we're going to have the power to be able to sense and find out where exactly they are and find their bunkers, go into those different areas and pull them out. Because at the time when all this is taking place, the skies are going to be filled with chariots as well as missiles that are going to be raining down. And so now let's go real quick to the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse, let's see, there's a verse in here that I'm looking for specifically that goes into how these elites are some are gonna be bound, some are gonna go into slavery, some are gonna be rejoicing. If I could just find it real quick, just bear with me 1 second. Let's see. I actually looked this up. I know it's in the 13th chapter, but the exact verse escapes me at the moment. Yeah, let me look this up. Some bound. There we go. Second. All right. So this was in the earlier verses. Salaki about that. 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 13. Okay. So I'm gonna actually jump up just a bit to verse 12 because I just want to hit the point. Now this is 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 12. And when you actually read 2nd Ezra the 13th chapter, this is also a prophetic chapter that touches on a little bit of history, but it also touches on the prophecy of the return of Yahushua and what's going to happen when he returns, you know, and how these other nations are all going to stop warring with each other and going to come and try to fight against the Lord. Now it says, 2nd Ezra 13, verse 12, afterward I saw the same man come down from the mountain. Now the man represents Yahushua, or is Yahushua, and the mountain is his chariot, and called unto him another peaceable multitude. And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, which are the elect, some were sorry, which are the, you're going to have some of the wicked, you're going to have some of the 2/3 that are going to be getting destroyed. It says some were bound, which are going to be these elites, all right, the kings and the nobles. It says, and other some were brought of them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I awaked and said. And then he goes on to speak. Okay, so the some that were bound are those that were also hiding, because they're not, these elites are not going to be destroyed in this thermonuclear war. They're going to be preserved because they're going to be the first crops of servants in the kingdom to come. So speaking of that, now let's go to what happens after. All right. Now this is the book of Revelation chapter 20, starting at verse 4. It says, "And I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them." So what thrones are these? These are the same thrones that Yahushua promised onto the those that would follow him in the regeneration. Did he not say that you will sit on 12 thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel? Now, they're not going to judge only the 12 tribes. They're going to judge the 12 tribes and the rest of the whole existence. Okay? So those that are going to be sitting on these thrones are going to be Israel, but starting with the elect, which starts with 144,000. And that starts with Yahushua above that. It says, and judgment was given unto them, because number one, we're going to have power to judge, okay, these different nations and judge the planet Earth, okay? And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua. And that happened back then, and it's going to happen now. You had Peter, you had, what's this man's name? Well, Peter was crucified, but nevertheless, he died for the Lord. You had Paul, who according to the history, was beheaded. I believe you had James as well. Okay. So it says, and for the word of God, which was, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image. So you're going to have, now back then, they didn't, but that was the first beast. And this time, you're also going to have people that are going to suffer that fate for not worshiping the beast, which is this system, this power structure. All right. NATO and the EU, the Lord has given them the spirit, as it says in Revelation 17, to give their mind and their power 1 hour unto the beast. So to form this power structure, because they are the powers that rule, Job 9:24 is manifested, the earth being given into the hand of the wicked. That's by way of them ruling right now. Okay, so it says the beast, which is the power structure, neither his image, which is the system that the powers or the people in power are implementing. That is the image. So you have the beast, which is them. You have the image, which is their system that they're going to implement. It says, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. All right, which is going into the charagma that they're gonna put. They're gonna try to put inside everybody, so that those people can be branded and welcomed and be able to function in the image. Okay, to become a part of that image, you need to have that mark. Now it says, or in their hands. It doesn't matter which hand. It could be in your tricep. It could be in your chest. Okay. It says, and they lived and reigned with Hamashiach 1,000 years. So those that turn down this right here, this offer, so to speak, they're gonna be those that reign with Hamashiach 1,000 years, which is not gonna be just 1,000 years, but that first 1,000 years is gonna be a key part in the beginning of the kingdom of heaven. All right. And this is why we tell you not to partake of the juicy juice or however you want to call it, the dragon's juice, the V, the bite, not to partake of it, because that when you take that, chances are you're gonna end up finishing that drink. OK, because the drink is going to start with this. But as you drink, they keep filling in more and more and more. And ultimately, they're going to tell you to finish it up and drink that whole cup. And at the end of the cup, you're going to find out that it has this charagma in it at the end. Okay, they're going to say, hey, look, you drank the first, you drank the second, you drank the pills, you drank the booster. Now you got to finish it off and drink this. Okay, and at that point, people are not going to have a problem not resisting and complying. That's why we tell you don't even taste of it. Okay, because it's like an individual that gets on drugs, and he starts off with a gateway drug. And before you know it, he's hooked onto the strongest substance and he can't get off it. So he can't say in the middle of it, all right, I'm going to quit now. I'm going to stop. He can't. He becomes an addict. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make you addicts to where when they bring that ultimate heavy hitter, you won't be able to have the strength to resist that. That's why we tell you not to do it. Verse 5, it says here, so this is talking about the elect. Verse 5, but the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Okay? Because in verse 5 and verse 6, there's two kinds of resurrections. Okay? The rest of the dead is talking about these other nations. And living, when you actually go into the word lived, let me see if I could pull it up here. It doesn't mean that they didn't physically live, all right, but it means they weren't restored to a normal life, if you want to put it. So let's actually go to Revelation 20, verse 5. All right. And when we go into the word lived, the Greek there is anadzaho, and it says here to recover life, to be restored to a correct life, of one who returns to a better moral state, to revive, regain strength and vigor. Now, why are they not going to be able to be restored to a better moral state or a correct life for 1,000 years? Is because they're going to be in bondage. Okay, so they're going to be slaves. They're going to be servitude. And after that, when they have served their sentence, Esau is going to be exterminated, but the rest of the dead, which are the other nations, they're going to be restored to that better moral state, to that correct life. Verse 6, blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power. So now this first resurrection is talking about those that get delivered, because the second death is talking about the nuclear missiles. So as we read, those that hadn't taken the mark or worshiped the beast, they are going to be blessed because they're going to be a part of the first resurrection, getting beamed up and getting delivered out of here. Whether they had died in the Lord or whether they were, as Paul said, alive and remain unto the coming of Yahweh Shai, they're all going to get beamed up. Lord willing, we are all going to get beamed up and are going to be a part of that first resurrection. On such the second death have no power, because we're not going to be destroyed by the second death. It says, but they shall be priests of God and of Hamashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years, which is going to be the first 1,000 years, but ultimately we're going to reign with the Lord for all of eternity. Okay? And that's going to be the beginning of the first day of the rest of eternity. It's going to start with us getting delivered, getting our bodies changed, and being prepared to rule. Right now, that's what's happening. We're being prepared, and when that time comes, it's going to be like our debut, which is going to start with Yahweh Shai. And we're going to go around preparing the world. And for that 1,000 years is going to be because remember, Satan was loosed for a period of time so that he could go deceive the nations and do all the wickedness that he's done. So when we come up into power, we're going to have time to now correct everything. Okay, and put the earth back into its rejuvenated state. When the missiles hit and that fire touches the earth, it's gonna sort of reset the earth. Okay, and then we're gonna in essence do like another Genesis. Okay, and have, you know, that refresh. That's why it talks about a new heaven and a new earth, not a literal new planet, but a refreshed version of the old one, because the former things are gonna be passed away. All right, so now, let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 1. It says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth. See? So what new heaven and new earth is John talking about? It's the same planet. All right? But a new heaven goes into a new rulership. So the age, because when you go into 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, it tells you that Esau is the end of the world. What does the world consist of? The heaven and the earth. Right, so that Esau is the end of the world, all right. But Jacob is the beginning of what? Of it that followeth. Same planet, different time period, different age, different rulership. So John says, "I saw a new heaven and a new earth," which the Greek word there is kainos, which means a refreshed. For the first heaven, and what's going to be that refreshing? The destruction of this old is going to be like destroying a plague and allowing the earth to finally breathe again. That and in that time, you're not going to be having these earthquakes and volcano eruptions and tsunamis. These are symptoms of the earth showing you that you are making the earth sick by polluting the water, by constantly deforestation, okay, by all these chemicals that are going up into the atmosphere. You're making the earth sick. You're destroying the planet. And so The same way when you are infected, you sneeze, you cough, you're weak, your voice is different, you have a stuffy nose, you can't eat right. That's the same way this earth is right now. Now imagine you're not allowed to rest. What's the number one thing they tell you to do when you're sick? To get some rest so you can recover. The earth is built that way. That's why we have land Sabbaths. But these devils don't honor that, so they've made the earth sick, but they're not allowing the earth to rest, and they keep bombarding it with more. And so that's why you see what's happening now with these natural disasters. The weather is out of course. Everything is out of course. But when the Lord takes these devils out of power and he purges that plague, the earth is not going to be showing those symptoms anymore. All right. So going back to Revelation 21 and 1, and I'm going to read it again. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, which you can link that with 2 Ezra 6 and 9. And there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Right? So now let's go to because that New Jerusalem is not talking about the literal city, but it's really talking about the elect. Okay, this is 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 2, and it says, for I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband. What? As it says, a bride adorned for her husband, right? So let's actually also look up the word adorned here in this verse, Revelation 20 verse 2, because this bride represents the elect, same as the city. And the ones that are going to come down from heaven are going to be the elect coming down from the ships, from the chariots. Okay? That's what it means by New Jerusalem coming down from God out of heaven. Because you gotta imagine, when did the city, or when will the city of Jerusalem itself go up into heaven? The physical city is not. That land is going to be cleansed. It's going to be destroyed. But who's going to go up? The elect. They're going to get beamed up. Okay, so let's go to the word adorned. And in the Greek, the word is kosmeo. And it says here, to put in order, to arrange, to make ready, prepare. Metaphor is to embellish with honor, gain honor. So as John said here, the holy city, right? The coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride that's been adorned, okay, for her husband. That means that she's been made ready for her husband. So when we go back to second Corinthians, and how were they made ready for their husband? By this truth purging us and making us ready and preparing us for the return of Yahushua. 2 Corinthians 11 and 2, for I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband. Now, if you're going to espouse your daughter or a woman to a husband, you have to adorn her. You have to make her ready for that husband. It says that I may present you as a chaste virgin on to Hamashiach. Okay, so that's what this truth is doing. This truth is cleaning us up and preparing us as a chaste virgin to Hamashiach. That's why the scriptures tell you that the elect were virgins. All right, now it's not talking about it in a physical sense, but in a spiritual sense, meaning that we were clean and we're not dealing with any of these other philosophies or these other religions. All right, we're only focused on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So this word is preparing us as, or adorning us as that bride, so that when the Lord comes back, we may get delivered. And when we get delivered and we go up there, what John saw is the elect coming back down. Now, why did we have to go up there? Let's go to the book of Isaiah. And see, this is what they don't tell you in the churches. They don't go into these scriptures. They don't even know how to link up verse by verse to give you an explanation or to give you the bigger picture of what's going to happen. So when you ask us, well, how do we know what's going to happen in the future? Just like this. because we read the verses, we read the scriptures, we know the precepts that give us the full story of what the future, it paints the picture of the future, aka looking through the lens of prophecy. Now, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 20. And it says, "Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were a little moment until the indignation be past." Right? So, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers. What are the chambers? The chambers are the chariots. Okay? And it says, "And shut thy doors about thee," because once the elect get beamed up, nobody else is going up there. Like Noah's Ark. When the time came and it was shut, nobody could go into that ark. It says, "Shut thy doors about thee, and hide thyself as it were a little moment until the indignation be past." And what is going to be the indignation? The destruction. All right, the destruction which is going to come by the thermonuclear missiles, which are the weapons of the Lord's indignation, pursuant to Isaiah 13 and verse 5. They come from a far country, the missiles. That's why they're called intercontinental ballistic missiles. From one end of heaven, even the Lord, and what? The weapons of his indignation. So if the weapons of the Lord's indignation are the missiles, and what are their job? To destroy the whole land. So if the weapons of the Lord's indignation are the missiles, then when it says hide thyself as it were for a little moment until the indignation be past, what is the indignation going to be? If the weapons of the indignation are the missiles, the indignation is going to be the second death, which is going to be the destruction by the missiles. So the elect are going to have to get beamed up so they don't get destroyed. Remember, we read in Revelation 20 that the second death, on such the second death have no power. Isaiah 26 and 21, continuing, "For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth." And that's going to start with Esau, all right, and everybody else that is written in the Lamb's book of death. Okay, because if you're not in the book of life, you're in the book of death for some people, because not everybody on the planet Earth is going to be destroyed on the Lord's return. Now it says, "To punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity, and the earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain." All right, so now let's go back to the book of Revelation, the 21st chapter. So now you understand how or why the elect are going to have to go up into the heavens. And that's why John saw them coming back down. And when we come back down, what are we going to do? We're going to go around the whole planet Earth, and we're going to subject everybody under the rule and under the laws of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And if you are not down with that, you're gonna lay down. All right, you either get down or you lay down. No question about it. It's not going to be a time for debate. Oh, you bring out your book, we bring out our book. Let's sit down and discuss this. We ain't going to be having no debates then. All right. And how do you know that? Well, this is Luke chapter 19, verse 27, red letter from the Lord himself. "But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them." Now, when is Yahweh Shai going to reign? When he comes back. So that means that when he comes back, those that are not, which you will have some, that are not in agreement, that don't want him to reign over them. Because if right now we are heralding Yahweh Shai's return, we're telling people about his return, and not everybody is excited or ready to submit to the will of the Lord. So if they're not ready to submit now, you're still going to have some that are not ready to submit then. And when that time comes, it says what? "Bring hither and slay them before me." So he says, bring hither, bring them, if they don't want me to reign over them, and slay them before me. I want to see it. And it tells you in the book of Ezekiel that we're going to purge the rebels from among us. How do you think that's going to happen? Okay, so going back to Revelation 21. So we're going to go around the earth and we're going to subject with spiritual power through chariots. Nothing is going to escape, and everything and everyone is going to be put in the right order. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, now everybody's not just going to get it overnight, but guess what? We're going to have all eternity. Remember, the first day of the rest of eternity. Yeah, we're going to be the world force. Okay? Imagine that. Gods. Yeah, you ain't got nothing to say then, man. So Revelation 21 verse 3, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men. You hear that? And he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and the Most High himself shall be with them and be their God. And who is this talking about? This is talking about the nation of Israel. Verse 4, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, because in the kingdom, the only tears that we're going to shed, if any, are going to be tears of joy. Okay? And this is representing no more sorrow, no more pain, as we're going to read. And there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying. Why is there going to be no more death? Because that's going to be a part of the former things. Remember, in 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, the mortal must put on immortality. So every Israelite is going to be immortal. And even though these other nations are not going to be immortal, they're going to live longer lives. Because the earth is going to be in a better state. So the inhabitants of the earth are going to be in that state as well. Things are going to go back to being bigger instead of smaller, you know, to being fresher instead of weaker, you know, and defiled. Okay, you're going to actually eat and get the proper nutrients, the correct taste of food. Right now, when you taste certain foods, you wonder why when you taste a banana from a tropical area as opposed to a banana here is different. Or chicken in a different country than chicken here is different. Because the chicken here has been defiled. Even the other countries as well, but not as much as this place. So in the kingdom, we're going to get the true taste of these animals, of different foods, of water, you know, of all these different things. All right, the purest form, because everything is made of elements. So we're going to have it undefiled, untempered with the purest form of air, of water. All right. So that's why it says neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, both physically, emotionally, mentally. All that is going to be done away with. Why? For the former things are passed away. So that's going to be our new life. That's what we're going to get used to. You know, get used to actually being happy and not being in pain and not suffering, whether it's physical pain, joint pains, infirmities, whatever it may be. No more of that. Okay, and that's going to be the blessing or the gift or the reward that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to give to his nation, to his chosen people. That's why he said all Israel shall be saved. Okay, and it's going to be an everlasting salvation because we're going to be saved first and foremost from the destruction, but we're going to be saved from sin. We're going to be saved from sorrow. We're going to be saved from death. We're going to be saved from pain. No more are we going to be affected by those things. Verse 5, and he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. So we know that these things are going to come to pass because the Lord said so. And he is not a man that he should lie. And quite frankly, his track record hasn't shown that he is a man that he should lie. Everything the Lord said came to pass. That's why his prophets are credible. Verse 6, and he said unto me, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega, meaning the beginning and the end, the Ah and the Tha. The beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. Now, this doesn't mean being physically thirsty, but it means being spiritually thirsty for the truth. And that's why the scriptures say that out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. He that overcometh shall inherit all things. So what are you going to overcome? Ultimately, let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 15, verse 2. It says, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory, which is to overcome, over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. So those are the ones that are going to overcome. And what's going to be their reward? And he that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. So we're going to inherit all things because the earth was made for our sake. All right. So that's why the Lord said what he said here through the mouth of the Apostle John as to what's going to happen. See, the prophecies are intense, but they're balanced. They don't consist of only pain and suffering, but also of deliverance and salvation, which is going to come for the Lord's elect. So now let's go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 16, because what we're starting to see and experience is the Lord starting the U-turn. You know, he's now starting to turn, all right, the wheel, because we've been stuck on curses and destruction in the wheel of prophecy. So now the Lord is starting to turn. As the prophecies move, we're starting to move from destruction, and our affliction is getting lighter and lighter and lighter until it starts to become blessings. Okay, and then who's going to be on the other end? Esau and these other nations. So this is Jeremiah 30 and 16. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured. And who has devoured us? Well, let's actually go here. Let's see. This is the book, I believe it's in the Apocrypha. Yep. This is First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 10. And it says here, I'm going to start at verse 9, dealing with Israel. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to start at verse 7. First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 7. He said, verse 6, Salak, and when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets, her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation hath not had a part? Here's the key part. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? Okay, so that is an example of them devouring us. And that question is rhetorical because all nations have had a part in our kingdom and have gotten of our spoils. Because every time another nation was in rulership, for the most part, we were a part of the captives. Okay, we had to be subject under all of them. The dream, the statue that Nebuchadnezzar had, from the head to the toes, guess who was subject? Us. All right? Under the Babylonians, under the Assyrians, the Medo-Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, all the way up until now. We've been getting devoured. So the Lord said, Jeremiah 30 and 16, therefore all they that devoured thee shall be devoured. So it was really a trap. It was to punish us, but it was a trap because you touched us. And all thine adversaries. So what is it? What does that mean? You devoured us. You took of our spoils. You put us into captivity and we worked for you. We're still servitude under Esau right now. But guess what's going to happen? The Lord is going to flip that. And you're not going to serve one by one. You're going to serve all at once. It says, and all thine adversaries, which means those that came against us, every one of them. So no, not one of you is going to escape. Well, it wasn't me, it was my forefathers. Your whole nation is going to pay. That's all right. That's okay. Get used to it. It's all right. Okay, there's not going to be the one righteous Edomite. You know, like people try to say Cornelius is an Edomite. You know, it is just that the one righteous Edomite of all the whole nation. There's that one who you got the picture of him standing on top of some rock in the Caucasus Mountains somewhere with the wind blowing through his hair. And he's just standing there, and you got on the cover, the one righteous Edomite. And he's just going to be amongst us as we rule in our kingdom. You know, no, that's not going to happen. There ain't no righteous Edomites. And they all going to pay. It says, so I'm going to read it here. Every one of them shall go into captivity. What is captivity? Slavery. Being a servant, being in bondage. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil. So however you put us into subjection, we're going to do it to you, but righteously. It says, and they that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. So that's why we're calm in the mind, because we understand that, you know what? Everything they're doing to us now, you're going to have to pay for that. That's okay. The Lord is keeping tabs on it, and you're going to have to pay for it. Verse 17, for I will, and the Lord said, the scriptures say the Lord requires that which is past. All right. For verse 17, for I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds. And what are some examples of our wounds? Let's go to the book of Isaiah, the first chapter. Okay, Isaiah chapter 1, verse 4. It says, ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupted, they have forsaken the Lord, they have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward. Why should he be stricken anymore? Because Jake, are rebellious people. They don't want to follow the laws of the Lord. If the Lord says do A, Jake will start doing A, but then they want to do B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay? And as a matter of fact, now it's to the point where they'll do everything but A. They'll jump even into the numbers. And nobody talking about numbers. All right, it says, they have forsaken the Lord, they have provoked. All right, verse 5. Why should he be stricken any more? He will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head, there is no soundness in it, but wounds. Okay? But wounds. And what are some examples of those wounds? Or how were we wounded by those curses? Having our people in the destroyed states, strung up on drugs, homeless, having baby mama drama, gang violence, okay? Being a destroyed people. These are examples of wounds. And right now, they're likened unto incurable wounds. That's why you look at Jake and you wonder, and that's why the Lord asked Ezekiel, can these bones live? Because those wounds, they did the reverse of what we read in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. Those wounds took away the breath. The wounds ripped away the flesh and the sinews and broke apart the bones and made us dry. Okay? It says, and bruises and putrefying sores, they have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. That's why we're in this low condition we're in. But the reason in the kingdom we're going to be in such a high position is because the Lord said it right here. Jeremiah 30:17. For I will restore health unto thee, because we have been wounded. And I will heal thy wounds, and take off those curses, and start blessing us, saith the Lord. Because they have called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Okay? And that's how these nations look at us. Okay? They don't look at us as a holy people. They call us proverbs and bywords. They look at us as a destroyed people. All right? This is the book of Lamentations, chapter 2, verse 15. It says, all that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All right? Because what? They look down on us because our women are whores, our men are drug dealers, they kill each other in the streets. We're looked at as animals. Verse 16, all thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. When they look at us, they don't remember our history of being a great people. They think of us as slaves. They think of us as illiterate monkeys that were swinging on vines in Africa somewhere. And when this devil came, he put us in slavery. They think that's how we began. All right? Because our true history has been hidden. That's why we're referred to as the hidden ones. Lamentations 2:16. All thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash their teeth and say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly this is the day that we look for. We have found, we have seen it. All right. So going back to Jeremiah 30, that's why it says that it says here, because they have called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Verse 18, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, Now, when the Lord says, I will bring again the captivity, it doesn't mean he's going to put us back into captivity, but it means he's going to take us out of captivity. It says, and have mercy on his dwelling places, and the city shall be builded upon her own heap. And the heap is after it's been destroyed, but is going to be rebuilt. And the palace shall remain after the manner thereof, and out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, and the voice of them that make merry. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. And that's why when you jump down, because the Lord, what is the Lord going to do? He's going to make us fruitful. All right. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is going to make Israel fruitful. Our women are going to be fertile. You know, they're going to be able to have children. They're going to not have children with deformities. Isaiah 60 verse 22. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation, and I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time. So how do you hasten for a little one to become a nation? Well, you make their women fertile. Okay, same with their men. Give them the energy. All right, and guess what? If you deal with, let's say, you in the kingdom, and you say, I'm going to pop 20 women in one day, you're going to be able to do that. And all of them going to get pregnant. Okay, now you don't know if you pop a woman and she damn near has freaking triplets. And that's 3 babies off of one woman, and you have 20 women that you basically knock down in one day, if that. Okay, because we're gonna be guys. It ain't gonna. Whew, damn shit, that took a lot out of me. You know. Oh, hold on 1 second. Now I gotta catch my breath. We're not because we're gonna be gods. Stamina? What you mean stamina? We're gonna define stamina. So you women better get ready. All right, but you know, so imagine that in the kingdom, we're not gonna have a problem having a small. If in one day, let's say one day you pop maybe 25 women. That's just being modest with it, right? You pop 25 women in one day. Do the math and see how many pregnant women will you have in 1 month. And if you keep a streak like that, right, with the exception of the Sabbath, of course, and you keep a streak, that's right, guys don't get tired. And our women are going to be able to handle it too. So if you keep because contrary to what the little front they like to put, women love it. All right. They love it, man. They're like machines. You know, you get a woman to really get into her element, she like a machine. You going to be like, oh shit. But anyway, kingdom building. We're going to be fruitful and multiplying. We're just going to be following what we've been told to do. Nevertheless, in 9 months, by the time the first ones that you knocked up, you know, start giving birth to them babies, it's going to be a cycle. Because if day 1 you got 20 women pregnant, 9 months, when those 20 women start giving birth, the next day, the next 20 are going to start giving birth. And it's just going to be like a cycle, just babies. All right. And we're going to have more than enough people and resources to take care of them, to bring them up the right way. So it's not going to be a small thing for us to grow and populate just like that. Okay. Going back to Jeremiah chapter 30, verse, where were we? Go back to 19. And I'll go back to 18. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring again the captivity. Read that. Jump down to 19. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, and the voice of them that make merry. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will glorify them, and they shall not be small. They shall gather, because we're gonna be able to live without worrying, without care, knowing that what we're doing is right, that we're at rest. You know, like I'm at home, I'm at peace. Nobody's gonna come and tell me that I gotta pay child support, or I gotta pay these fines, or I gotta pay these bills. None of that. You know, we're gonna finally get to have a house, a home. You know, finally get to actually rest. And I don't mean just physically. I mean rest without worrisome thoughts. All right, because the Lord is gonna be with us. It says, and I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime. Because right now, what do you have going on? You have kids now having a child is a fearful thing nowadays. Okay, very, very fearful thing nowadays, because especially look at society today, man. Look exactly where we at in this point in time. And you do you think that you're not afraid as a parent as to, what, of course you have faith in the Lord, but as to what is taking place in the world, how are you going to raise your child in this society? You actually think about it, like, how are you possibly going to raise your own child in this society when everything in this world is going to be to condition them to become either an alphabet gang member, or just messed up somewhere, or bound down to Esau, or of all these different things. Okay, now let's go to the book of Second Ezra, chapter 5, verse 8. It says, there shall also be a confusion, or there shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. So a lot of these kids today, you look at them, honestly speaking, they're like little monsters, man. You can see it in their face. They got that demonic look. They got no respect for their elders. They have no manners. They don't have any of that. They look at you like you're their age group. They weren't raised getting their ass beat, getting disciplined. I'm young, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't raised here in Babylon. So over there in Ghana and like certain other countries, because they weren't so quick to catch up to Babylon, when this place had stopped with the the ass whoopings over there, you still had it. So discipline was discipline. You were raised with discipline. Today, we got kids cursing at elders. They have no respect. So in the kingdom, we're not going to be having that. We're going to have obedient children that don't talk back and don't give lip and all of that. Okay, and it actually makes you happy to be their parent. They don't stress you out. Okay, they listen to what you say. They actually listen to what you say. They don't lie to you. They don't steal from you. They don't do any of those things. That's why it says monsters, because that's what they are today. Peer pressure, smoking, doing drugs, doing all manner of wickedness behind your back just to bring it all back to you, and you got to deal with it. Okay? Not thinking before they do things. All that is stressing you out, and it's giving you a bad look. Yeah. But guess what? Today they don't do that, because you try to discipline a child, they call it child abuse. But the scriptures say, don't spare the rod. Okay, you gotta whoop their ass. So going back to Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 20, their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. Because in the ancient world, you had our children that were actually smart. Our children, when you get to 12, you already knew what the deal was. The nation of Israel in the past, we weren't idiots. We were very, very intellectual. We were very spiritual people, but our common sense was a requirement. People didn't just do stupid things. You had wicked men, but even wicked men were wise in their wickedness. They try to cover their tracks unless the Lord revealed it. Today you got Jake that's just gone in all manner of ways. Verse 21, and their nobles shall be as Salakia, and their nobles shall be of themselves. So our kings and our rulers are not going to be of another nation. They're going to be of our people. It says, and their governor shall proceed from the midst of them, and I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engageth his heart to approach unto me, saith the Lord. All right, because ultimately the Lord is going to draw us back to him, and we are going to be that ruling people before the Lord, and we are going to glorify the Lord, because we're going to be that nation, going back to Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6, the nation that is above all nations, and we're going to lead by example, because we are going to be God's chosen people, and that is going to be fully accomplished. But in order for us to reach that point, we had to go through what we're going through right now. So it's all orchestrated by the Lord anyway. But it's okay because we're almost at that end. Now, this is the last precept I have. This is Isaiah chapter 60, verse 9. And this is going to be the eternity that we're going to have. It's going to the kingdom of heaven is going to be a completely different world than the one that we're living in right now. That's why we go so hard. That's why you see our elders with gray hairs, white hairs, and they're still out there standing there for hours teaching the scriptures, doing it for years. And all the other younger elders and elder brothers up unto us brothers and teachers over here. That's why we're all going so hard. You know, we're not saying that the true men of the Lord are not saying, oh, I've done enough, I'm trying to stop. No, because we believe these words in here. That this promise, these blessings, this is why we are doing what we're doing with such passion. Because we want this. We know the Lord is not a liar. We see the prophecies coming to pass. So there's only one thing left for us to do. The Lord is doing his part, so we have to do our part. Okay? Shows you that we actually believe it. Now this is Isaiah chapter 60 verse 9. Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy power, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. Because you're going to have Israelites that are going to be brought from these other nations. Okay? Verse 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls. Now, these strangers are actually going into these other nations. And they're going to build up our walls. They're going to build up the kingdom. Okay? We're going to instruct them saying, look, do it this way. Put this here. We want it of this material. All right? We're going to set up taskmasters. We're going to have them constructing, and because the kingdom is going to be marvelous. The layout is in the scriptures, Revelation 21. You think we're going to be carrying big ass stones doing, we're not going to be doing that. Why do you think we're going to have servants? It says, and their kings shall minister unto thee. Doesn't mean they're going to be preaching unto us. It means they're going to be serving us. It says, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. So in the Lord's wrath, he smote us by putting us in captivity, by having us go under these devils, and lastly, the most painful part, going under this devil Esau Edom. This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 6. Ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because ye moved the power, the Most High, to wrath, ye were delivered unto your enemies. Verse 7, for ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not to the Most High. So that's why in the Lord's wrath, he smote us by selling us unto the nations and having us suffer these curses. But he says what? In my favor have I had mercy on thee. So being delivered, as a matter of fact, having this truth now is an example of the Lord having mercy on us, okay? Of the Lord cleaning us up. Because he could have decided to leave us in the world, and where do you think we would have been? We would have been juiced up, prayed up, masked up, and get ready to be shot up, okay, and burnt up. Verse 11, therefore thy gates shall be open continually, and they shall not be shut day nor night. You see, now today you got every country has their airports, their borders. They got guards over there making sure nobody's sneaking in there trying to do anything crazy, because all of them constantly have to look over their shoulder. In the kingdom, we're not going to have to do that. All right? We're not going to need to, have, all this extra precautions that these people do. It says, verse 11, therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. And when you look up that word forces, I believe is halal or chayal, which is riches or glory or anything beneficial. They're going to bring it to us. Where they find gold, they find new material, anything, it comes to us. We're going to get the best of it because they're going to work for us. It says, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and the kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Okay? Yea, those nations shall be what? Utterly wasted. So In this society, if a nation said, if they said, look, number one, in today's society, nations don't, they serve through tariffs and trade agreements and these different various things. And by using, for example, the petrodollar, right? They don't serve the way they're going to serve us. And if a nation said, we're not going to serve you anymore, what's going to happen is the nation like America is going to go to war with that nation. But they're not going to be able to just utterly destroy them, because whatever nation it is in today's day, they have allies. So it's going to turn into a war, and there's going to be casualties on either side, on both sides. But in the kingdom, ain't no casualties on our side. You don't want to come up, we're going to cause a drought. We are going to have power to do anything and everything. So nobody is going to, if you dare to come up against us, you are through. Because we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. It tells you that in the book of Zechariah, the 12th chapter, and I believe around the 8th verse on down, about the house of David being as God. So who in their right mind? You had people that feared to come against certain empires, and those empires were made of men. How much more for an empire that's made of gods? Think about it. An empire that's made of gods, every one of them. Do you really think, you really want to take your chances with that? Verse 13, it says, the glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fair tree and the pine tree and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. So we're going to have the best wood, the best floors, the best materials. Everything is going to be done perfectly. Measurements, all of that. And we're going to unlock the understanding of new technology. Okay? Spirituality, whatever, however you want to call it. And whatever you think is advanced here, when you get to the kingdom, you're going to understand why Esau is likened onto the basis of men. It says here, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. Now, I remember there was a video that the elder Manatas Akbar did, and it was about a dream, and I don't remember exactly who had that dream, but he was basically breaking down in the dream how the brother that had the dream saw, he said he saw what I remember from the video was that you had certain individuals that were like flying, and whenever they flew by the congregation, everybody saw them and everybody knew them, and they got so excited and they were waving at them. And he said that their clothes, he said the clothes that we wore was like tailored to everybody's body specifically. He said Yahushua was there, and he said a lot of other things as well. But I remember that part about the clothes being different. It's like almost like the clothes just know your body, and they just fit. It just fits perfectly accordingly. And that's only one aspect. Okay. So the kingdom, we're going to see and understand things that we have never been exposed to. In the kingdom is when the Lord is going to really open up the treasures. All right. The treasures of life. And we're going to be like, damn, all these things existed. And we had no idea. We walked past the earth to and fro thinking, you think right now that the knowledge on the earth right now is a lot? Why do you think we're going to need eternity? So it says, verse 14, Isaiah 60:14, the sons also of them that afflict thee shall come bending unto thee, meaning they're going to be subject unto us. It says, yeah, it's literally hard to imagine now because we don't have the mental capability to understand it. If the Lord was to, why do you think Paul, when he came back from the spirit world, he said what he saw was not lawful to utter? You couldn't find the words. Your vocabulary, you could be the smartest person in all existence, and your vocabulary wouldn't be close enough to be able to describe even one thing that Paul saw. Paul saw. Okay, that's why he said that this mortal cannot inherit immortality. You need to become immortal. It says here, and they all that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion, right, to Zion, the monument of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an external excellency. Oh, Slakia, an eternal excellency. There you go. The first day of eternity. So for all eternity, we're going to be excellent. We're going to be top. We're going to be at our peak. All right. You're not going to age. You're not, in terms of physically feeling the effects of that. No. We're going to enjoy for the rest of eternity. It says, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles and suck the breast of kings. And that's not talking about literally, but it's talking about their riches. We're going to get all these beneficial things from them. It says, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. Because the way we're going to be delivered out of here and the things we're going to get, only a God like the Most High can do that. Only the Most High can bless us with what he's going to bless us with. And only the Most High can change us to be able to accept his blessing. Okay? It's like if you wanted to gift somebody a car, your car really wouldn't be valuable if the person doesn't know how to drive. They can't do anything. The car is valuable, brand new, beautiful, top-notch car. But if the person can't drive, then they can't do anything with the car, no matter how valuable it is. So you need to basically teach them how to drive, or give them the ability to drive, and then give them that car. So that way it works. And that's the same thing. The Lord he's gonna give us the kingdom, but he needs to ready us for the kingdom. We need to be able to actually receive the kingdom. Because right now, we can't receive the kingdom. Yeah, can't drive a you got to learn how to do it before it becomes of value to you. If you're blessed with something, but you don't know how to use it, then you don't understand the true value. So really, us going through the hell we're going through now is so we can understand the true value of the kingdom. So when we get it, we can actually receive it. All right. So when we get new bodies, we can value it because we've experienced what it's like to be in these fleshly, weak bodies of suffering pain, headaches, tiredness, fatigue, memory loss, all of these things, anger, all these things that you can't help. We've gone through those things. So when we get a body that doesn't do that and does much more miraculous, beautiful things, we'll appreciate it even more because we know what it's like to not have what those new bodies are going to give us. And we know what it's like to not have what we're going to get in the kingdom. So when we get it, we're going to appreciate it. Verse 17, Isaiah 60 and 17. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. So everything is going to be up. All right. Because that's how rich we're going to be. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee, but the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory. And that's metaphorical because we're actually going to have the physical sun and the moon, because those are for signs and ornaments to tell time and seasons. Okay, but this is going into how how glorious we're going to be, and how ultimately the Lord, that's how near the Lord is going to be to us. All right. Verse 20, the sun shall no more go down, neither shall the moon withdraw itself, for the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. So right now, we are nearing the end of the days of our mourning. And that's why we are hasting for them to push this agenda and do what they got to do, because that is the direction that is headed towards the end of our mourning. And the second the Lord gives the go-ahead for these devils to make that ultimate push and to bring that charagma out, we already know we're gonna be looking at that light at the end of the tunnel. All right, and it's only a matter of time. It says, verse 21, thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. So how are we going to inherit the land forever? We're going to be immortal. It says, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. So the Lord is going to be happy to glorify us because it's going to glorify him. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation, because we're going to reproduce at a fast rate. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time. So these are the blessings that our power said he's going to bless us with. So these are the things we have to look forward to. And that's why when we look at the destruction and the things that are getting ready to happen now, we hasten and we give a round of applause to the Lord, because through this comes what I just read, comes the rest of the prophecies. But they're like dominoes that if the first one doesn't get hit, this one can be touched. All right. So, hey, as we move on in these days, as things get more tough, remember that it is necessary in order for us to get to the end of this age and the beginning of the kingdom. So when you pray, remember to always pray for fewer days. Pray for the Lord to shorten these days and have these prophecies come to pass the sooner. Because the sooner that happens, the sooner we can get out of here, the sooner we can start and enjoy and experience our first day of the rest of eternity, which is going to be the kingdom. And Lord willing, may we all continue to give diligence, and may we all make it and get to experience that first day. Because only the elect are going to get that true experience of that first day. All right, and that's not an experience you want to miss out on. Okay, so with that, I'm going to end it here. The water for all the precepts you brothers put on the comment board, Salakia that I wasn't really able to get to them. All right, but Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and exhorting to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kudash. Until next time, Shalom.